and welcome everybody. Today is the day when, whew, wow, I am at loss of words. It's a very special day. Thank you for sharing it with me. And it's not only my day, I have beautiful, gorgeous people I have been blessed to work with, to open doors for me and to open universes together. And they are my delightful guests tonight. That's Kalpana Raghraman in a parking lot. And I will explain why a bit later. There is Sandra Schoenmakers. She's at home. Well, she made it safely. And then there is Faye Thompson. All three have been part of birthing this book, which is called Stories of the Unseen. It's today 1 week exactly since it has seen the world. It has reached the bestseller on a few markets, which I forget right now out of head, and #1 releases in Amazon. For those of you who like numbers, well, this is a hit. For those of you who like stories, it's still ongoing. So I will not talk too much. Today is about the book and it's about my guests. And please feel free to ask your questions. We have wonderful translators today, Juana for Romanian and Amel for French. So let's get started. My sweet guests, please introduce yourselves and then say a few words about yourselves and how you experienced the book while working with it. Who starts?
You want me to start?
Absolutely. Whoever wants to start is welcome.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I've known Selena for a couple of years and we've created a lot together, and now I designed the book cover with her.
Yes, and if you can you tell them how this beautiful, gorgeous cover has come into being?
Yes. So one of the chapters is about a cherry blossom tree, and you gave me the energy of this story with your mother and sitting underneath the tree on a chair, and the cover was created quite quickly. I found the tree that matched, and then if you know Selena, you also think of a cup of coffee in the morning, so that's why the cup of coffee was added to the cover as well. And it was very East Joy and Glory. It was very clear, and
it was fun. It was in the morning by a coffee on a Sunday morning that Sandra has tried to come up with different images for the cover. And one night I went to bed, Saturday night I went to bed, and in the morning I said, you know what is the most important for me? This. And then she just did her miracle. No entity awareness capacity over there at all, right, Sandra?
No. Nope. Yeah, amazing.
Cool, thank you. Well, I'm not done with you. I will ask you some questions, but then who's next? First, who's next? Because I see somebody in a parking lot and I'm so Kalpana, hi.
Hi.
Where are you?
I am in the Netherlands. I just finished a body class and I have to drive for a few hours, so I stopped to be part of this, so I won't be here too long. But I first of all want to congratulate you, Selena, and the book to be out in the world and to inspire the world. How does it get any better?
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, there's a story in this book about how Kalpana actually ignited this awareness about entity awareness in one of her classes in Paris, where I was like, why did I give all this money on an entity class? There's nothing for me there. And then when you read the book, you will actually know that there is so much more than met the eye at the first encounter. And I really feel privileged to have you here because you are the first person who actually talked to me about entities in a non-significant way. And I know how important are the first people who open this subject, and you are one of them to me. So thank you so much for having ignited this book into the world.
Thank you, Selena, and thank you for flying with it. So what else now? So cool. Thank you.
I'm not going to answer what is now, what else now, because I already have my ideas. But thank you. And now we go to Faye. Faye is in Canada. It's early morning in Canada. I'm not even sure whether Faye has got her coffee or is it early afternoon?
No, yeah, it's just 12:30 in the afternoon here, so lunchtime. So I'm Faye Thompson, and I have a business called Big Moose Publishing, and I was involved in editing and publishing and putting the book together and out in the world. And wow, this was so much fun to work on this particular book, because obviously the entities were involved in that very much. And sometimes, there were even, we were even aware of some entities who were not so nice, and just using these tools and your awareness to clear those away, and then clear sailing, which obviously happened because you went #1 bestseller in like about 7 different countries. So yay!
Yay! How does it get any better than that? And thank you. This was something like Faye has been there for me in 2 particular moments when I said I'm dropping it. And she knows when I called her and I was in all the states of mind possible, and I said, no, I'm not doing this. And then she said something. Do you remember what you told me with how entity awareness worked on you?
I don't know exactly which instance you're referring to.
I was just having my my moment, my my rage, my I'm not doing this. This is not going to help anyone. Nobody's going to read this book. Blah 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 blah. And then you said something, if you remember.
No, I don't. What did I say?
You said that you remember when Gary Douglas says, if you change a person's life, then you are a success. And then you said, your book changed my life. You are a success. So
no, it did. When I read this book, I also took the Talk to the Entities class with Kalpana and started looking at entities in my world in a different way. And then I read your book, Selena, and it was like, that's entities, and that's entity awareness, and that's that. And I started to become, my awareness like shot through the roof just from your examples of how this actually plays in your real life. And that has absolutely changed how I am in the world, just from working on your book. So what a gift. And that's the gift of this book, if you ask me. Yeah.
Wow. Receiving.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this. And there are some eyes who have seen the pages before when this book was just a fling, if you want, but it wasn't getting serious. And there's Isegul, who read a few stories, and Juana read a few stories. And I'm looking who else. Flavia read a few stories. No, not Flavia. Yvonne and Michelle have read a few stories. However, Flavia was the first one who got the book in her hands before anybody else. So you can imagine how jealous I was. And I would like to thank you, ladies, for encouraging me to write it, to go through with it, and yeah, to, how should I say? I said it already in a different interview that it feels like a coming out. It's one thing to be a Talk to the Entities facilitator and to, how should I say, to transfer the tools to people. But when you're willing to acknowledge to what extent they work in your life, and not only acknowledge for a fraction of a second, but write down those experiences, it's like truly getting naked. So it's not like I write every day about entities. I wrote for a few months, but it's not something that I'm doing every day. So it's been kind of a roller coaster to which I'm inviting you all. And it's actually, if you want my perspective on entity awareness, there are no truths in this book. There's not a fixed truth. That's the way. This is how it is. It's an invitation to ask yourselves, what are you aware of? And instead of going towards the drama and the significance of it all, if you didn't know that, and if you allowed yourself truly to know what you know, how much fun could you have with those entities who are playing with you all the time, are willing to give to you all the time? And what if you stopped controlling them, like I wanted to control the book up to one moment, and enjoy the miracle they can pour into your life when overnight a book becomes a bestseller in 7 countries and it's spread all over the world? Because truth be told, I wanted it to become global. I really wished it from the bottom of my heart, from my butthole, if you want. And I didn't know how to do that, but it found its way. So if there is anything in particular you would like to ask us, any of us, please feel free to ask a question. Sandra knows a lot how to work with entities to create magnificent stuff. No, she doesn't, she said. Kalpana knows a lot how to communicate, to be in communion with them, and a lot about receiving from the entities. And Faye knows how to talk to them from her garden, which is really special. I guess this book has been kind of, how should I say? Godmothered, fathered, God something, but not with the God part in it, in Faye's garden. It's full of fays, fairies, and other entities that wanted to contribute to it. So please feel free to ask your questions. And how does it get any better than that?
Actually, sorry, in the chat, you've got a question from Marta.
Okay. Marta, where are you, Marta? Oh, congratulations, Selena. Are there plans to have it on audiobook too? I would love to listen to you and to the stories. Whoa. Now that's an interesting ask. Well, what would it take? Faye, tell me, what would it take to have it as an audiobook as well? That now you're the technical side.
Well, it takes a lot of time to do an audiobook, so it'd take time, and we can discuss that later. But yeah, what's possible with that? And is that what the book is wanting?
Wow, that's thank you for this. Much of this book coming into being has been actually ignited by what does the book want. I remember, and Juana has asked me to talk about this, there are some chapters in the book which at some point were just put aside. And we kept asking the book, is it what you require? Is this what you require? Is this what would make you greater? And as much as I love those stories, they came into the world way before I met the tools of access consciousness. And I kind of guess that everybody who's here knows what access consciousness is. If you don't know, that's this big toolbox with tools that you pick out from them, and you change your life where you want to change it, when you choose to change it. And then way before I met the tools of Talk to the Entities, you want it or not, these stories are actually a living proof of these tools in everyday life. So basically, it's not because I wanted to have them in the book, and it's not because I wrote them that the book agreed to it. It's funny, but a book is an entity in itself, and at some point it becomes a life form of itself. It's the same thing that happened with the cover. We got the nice but not nice but and then when on Sunday morning we sat next to that cup of coffee, it was boom with tears, and we knew exactly nothing was about to be changed in that cover. And actually, there are a lot of people who sent in messages and feedback like, this cover, this is like, I don't know what it was, but I had to read this book. So Sandra knows nothing about communicating with entities when it comes to creation. I see there, Aysegul says, it's more than just about entities. It is about inspiring, trusting you. You want to say more, Aysegul, or?
First of all, really, really, I congratulate you heartfully, because those stories are so vivid. I have had the pleasure of. I didn't start to read from cover to from the beginning yet. I just got my Kindle version, but those are so vivid, and it was, as I told you, it was like a pleasure of my grandfather telling the ancestral stories or stuff like that. And also I found a few how do I call it, like a few awarenesses of myself that I always disregarded. And it was like, maybe I'm making it up, blah blah blah, that kind of that was an inspiration, like, oh yeah, maybe I should pay more attention to this entity world, and I shouldn't just ditch them as like, maybe I'm making it up. It was inspiring for me in that sense, like trusting my own awareness of the entities also.
Wow.
I mean, I am more aware after Kalpi's beautiful classes, but still sometimes this doubting yourself comes up. But your book inspired me in that sense, like, okay, I
Thank you.
receive and I accept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an exercise, and I would like Kalpana to talk about it if she can. I know she's driving, but maybe just a few words. It's been an exercise to drop the doubt. As I wrote it on the back of the book, it's how many times have we been accused of inventing stuff and of knowing stuff that was not there for everybody. So it was a moment when, to me, it's so true and so real, but not for everybody else. So how do you put that into words without touching their judgments and receiving their judgment at the same time, but also be clear and true to yourself, because doubt is what kills your creation and your entity awareness. So Kalpana, more on that, on doubt and on trusting about entities.
Hi, ladies, people. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'll make it short, and I think Selena, you wrote the book, so I would say you are the best person to talk about how that was for you in this, context. If you have the guts to not do doubt, everything's available. And you said something interesting about like not touching the judgments. It's like when you are not choosing doubt and you're actually trusting yourself, the judgments of others are not relevant to the moment you know. This is what everything with awareness and with the entities world and like this application, what this book is basically about, right? Like the lived experience and how we be that energy with our awareness is about. It's like, hey, actually, I could say that I'm imagining it, and I know with all done that a million times. And then when we don't go into the, I'm making it up, I'm imagining what friends are going to say. There's relaxation in our world, and are we willing to choose that? And I said guts because it seems easier to do what everybody's doing, which is not trusting yourself and doubting. And it's like it takes guts to be different, and at the same time, it's so much easier and more fun to trust yourself and not in the doubt game.
True. And that's something I learned from you, and to not take things seriously and to play with them.
Yeah.
And it was your class in Paris when I don't remember anything from it other than ask for the dominant entity when you're talking to somebody, when you're not understanding much. And that one question, not doubting that it works, it actually opened up a world of ease and of relaxation, as you say, in our family, just as in everyday life. So thank you for that.
What I wanted to say before I go is also like, it's about the living. It's not about talking about it and writing about it or posting about it on Facebook. It's like living it, and it's about living it.
We cannot hear you. You break. So okay, so it's not about posting it on Facebook, it's about living it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Wow. Well,
and I just want to jump in there as well.
Yeah.
About that living it, that's what this book is, your stories of how you're living it.
Yeah.
About how you're not
you're so free.
Yes.
You will have to repeat because we were all like, oh, she's unmuted. So let's mute her, and now we go back to you. So.
Oh, okay. All I said was that with the living it, that's what this whole book is about, is how you're living it without doubt. And some of the stories you talk about how you doubted for a second, but then you went no, and you went back into it, and the difference of what that does is when you trust yourself. Yeah. Just read the book, people. It's awesome.
Read the book.
Don't read the book because you don't like being told what to do. Don't read the book.
There's one story which I particularly like, and it was very funny because I write about doing an entity clearing in the Magic Forest, which all of you know, the Magic Forest by now. If you don't, you should watch my lives, you know. And then I did this entity clearing in the chapel, and then a few meters down the road, I found something shiny in the bushes, and I took it out, and it was a star. It was a hairpin with a star, and it said love. And I remember shouting out from the top of my lungs in the whole forest, thank you. Now, if I went into my doubt, I would have said, yeah, a child has been here and dropped a star. It's not about the linearity of things. That star could have been there for months and ages. Doesn't matter. It's the moment when I knew I was gifted that star, that shiny star, for something that I was willing to acknowledge as being one of my capacities. I don't know about you, but I struggled with that. I could be called a demon bitch from hell. I could be called a witch, and not claiming, owning, and acknowledging my entity awareness beyond a level that was like nicey. Now, this book kind of pushed me to no longer go for half measures and ask for more of it. I see there the one that says the energy of the book is so present. Actually, yes, she's bubbling, she's fizzing, it's a she. All of a sudden, it's a she. She's like next to me. Is it going to be translated in Romanian? Possibly not. It was the choice of the book to be written in English and not in Romanian. And Faye can confirm, or we had a discussion about it. What should be the language of this book? And she came again with a question, what does the book want? Now, even the language of the book is chosen by the book itself. Is she going to be translated into French? Again, possibly not, but possibly yes. It's all a question of where does it want to go? How many people does it want to reach? And how would you be willing to embrace your entity awareness? Because at the end of the day, it's about you. It's about what you choose. I could only put my experience on the pages, but it's you who live with your capacities. And it's you who chooses to have more of that or less. My invitation is to, there's this question, if your life were a legend, or if your life were a work of art, what would you choose to paint or to write? What would be your story about? And when you are going to become an entity, you are already with a body one. But when you become disembodied, how would you like other people to think of you? Cherish you or turn the back as if you have never been in their lives? If you read the stories about my mom, because she's there, you will see and you will perceive possibly how much I resisted her under my cherry tree, on an empty chair, until the last pages of the book. But I'm not going to ruin your pleasure. Haha. So I know we reached the half an hour, which I promised. So if the guests, the special guests I cannot stay longer, I would kiss them goodbye and thank them from the bottom of my heart. But if you can stay, and if people have other questions, I would be happy to answer them. Anything that crosses your mind, any idea, any suggestion, anything.
Can I ask you a personal question?
How personal will
There.
that be? Oh my God.
No, I just want to, because you're such a good teller. I can be there, smell everything. It's the same thing with your stories. I could smell the soil. I could smell as if I'm touching the ground. Anyway, how was the night that for you? How was the night when you knew it was going to be published? Everything is gone. It's out of your hands. How was that night for you? I wonder.
It was like I have been playing on fire all night long. It was bubbling, and Faye knows I was sending her messages like crazy, like, when is it going on? Is it ready? But I also knew that it's not only me being infatuated with a book. Some of you know, some of you don't. This is my 5th book, so it's not like I'm going through it for the first time, but I was going through it for the very first time, because this is a new birthing. It doesn't look like anything else. And it was actually, I was telling Faye while I was proofing, I was doing the final proof, I came into the kitchen and I shouted at my husband, I want chocolate cake. And he was like, what? I was chocolate cake and I want chocolate cake and I wanted all the sugar possible in house. Now you also know possibly that I did a detox for a few months, so sugar was not exactly a problem, but it took me a moment to stop and ask myself, okay, so what am I aware of? How many entities I am aware of? And knowing that I found this trick of eating sugar to diminish the intensity, to take me out of my own presence in my life, I had to make a choice. And I had, okay, I'm not going to have chocolate cake right now. I did have it later, but I didn't just got into, and now I'm going to eat. And it was really, really, really intense. you know, like when something is so intense that you feel like you're going to pee your pants. That. And it was beautiful. Thank you. And I remember the night after, when the book was launched, and I woke up and Sylviane was showing me, oh, your bestseller, your #1 new release is on Amazon.com. I was like, yes, I did that. I did that. I still do that. So yeah. Christina, you have your hand up. You wanted to ask a question.
Yes, hi everyone, and congratulations on the book, and thank you for writing it and publishing it. I did the Talk to the Entity intro class with Kalpana like a month ago. I don't even know, it was in May sometime. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm like a rookie on using the Access tools, on talking and communicating and asking the questions. So I think I got a lot better with the clearings and the standard questions. But when it comes to, okay, there's an entity or many entities that want to communicate. No, but I get to points where I'm not clear on what other questions I could use. Like, I don't maybe allow myself to communicate. So I arrived to that part. There are entities that want to just communicate with you. And I wanted to ask you, like maybe you can suggest questions, or maybe you can tell a story of what questions you use when entities come to communicate with you, and how to have more ease with that, please.
So, okay, I will just ask you one thing. How do you react to people when they want to talk to you, when they want to communicate with you? What is your first response? No?
Lately, yes.
So what if that is not wrong to start with? And what have you decided about communicating to entities that makes things so significant that you don't even want to look that way? When it comes to entity communication, for me, it was before knowing the tools of Access Consciousness, after I gained way more clarity. But when it comes to that, it's about being curious. You will never talk to the entities from your head. You will possibly stumble upon communication with entities, like, you know, inverted commas, when you play with them. Like I did the clearing by the chapel, and then off I went, but I turned back, and to me it seemed like the chapel really changed the energy. It was like smiling, you know, the windows kind of changed the shape, and I was like, oh, it smiles. Now, if I had my husband next to me, who's a rational and logic and a very, you know, analytical person, he would have said, no, the windows are the same. But my experience has shown me that the whole energy had changed, and there was no result in view. And basically, I personally don't go, oh, what question should I ask here? Because this would mean that I have already decided there has to be that one question. There is no one question, but you can start with, what am I aware of? And what am I not willing to be aware of? What message don't you want to get from the entities? And that's, you know, that's a play. It's for you to exercise yourself with. It's not going to come overnight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Who else has a question? Is there anybody else having a question? If you have a question in a language that requires translation, I'm here for you.
Hi,
And-
Selena.
That's our translator. Hi, Amel.
How are you?
Oh,
Actually, I'm translating a congratulation again and again and
Thank
again.
you.
Oh my God. And I'm getting more excited each time about this book. There is a question in a chat in a French language. Someone is asking, is the book will be translated in French, into French?
I have already answered that. That is-
So maybe I couldn't hear you because I want it in French.
You're one of the ones who want the book translated in French. Okay, I get that. So I already answered that. It all comes with whatever the book requires, wherever it wants to go, and how you're willing to welcome it in the world. That's what makes a book live at the end of the day. And I see another hand up, Elena. Alina. Yay.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. So first of all, I want to say that I already almost finished your book. I am at the last chapter. So I am, wow, so grateful. It's not like a question, but it's like I had so many awarenesses when I read your stories. And I am such, how you say, I feel so drawn to read the book and to finish it and to start all over again. So I don't know if happened with any of book except with the others of Dr. Dame, but this is really, truly makes me understood that I am aware that I don't use the tools as much as I wanted, as much as I should, as much as I could. And you give me, first of all, this awareness. So I want to thank you because I was always drawn to the entities, but it somehow scared me. I had some awarenesses and some feelings. So I feel, I say, I listen, but somehow I was afraid. So with your stories, makes me want to take a class, an entity class, which I feel for some months now to take, but I was always scared of doing that. The one tool that I use, and I want to thank you about this, I have 2 boys.
I have 3.
Yeah, I know. It's your story when you said that your child, the second one, if I don't, that he has 2 of them, they have the entity. So this one takes me like say, oh my God, how do you do that? How you accept that? How you do what she felt, how it was, no, all that energy passing through my body and all these thoughts. So because it's something that I was thinking with my eldest boy, that something wasn't quite exactly as him, as I knew him, no? So when I read your story, it's something was like, oh my God, is this? So I go to him and I ask him how many of him they are there. So he told me 10. I say, okay. So I was like, 10 of you. So I asked him again, how many of you are? And they say, oh, I don't know, 3. So I said, you want to, how you say, I put your questions. So afterwards, he released himself. I did somehow, and I felt so much lighter, and I received an awareness that I didn't have before. So this was really, really, really something very powerful for me.
Thank you for that.
Afterwards, yeah. So I thank you again for your book because it's very special one, and it's very, how you say, it has the right energy, at least for me, and I think that's for so many people. The other things is your relationship with your husband, your relationship with going to all the cities and take all that stuff. So I was, oh my God, what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful life and scary and excitement and love and laugh and sadness and all that stuff passing through my mind. So I just want to say thank you again. And I go to read the last chapter. So afterwards, I start again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the willingness to read them and to make them yours in a way that you can relate to your own life. One thing about this is that maybe my husband would like to tell you the story of Amsterdam that we just did, full of entities, of course. We just come back from a weekend in Amsterdam, just the follow-up of the book, and knowing that the book is going to be launched today, you know, it kind of pumped up the energy. However, one of the biggest gifts of this, of the tools of Talk to the Entities, and for those of you who don't know what Talk to the Entities is, when you read the book, you will have links towards where you can educate yourself about that, is it changed, totally changed and shifted the relationship I have with the kids. It took me out from this obsessive being wrong and being that something was not okay and not having an answers, to all of a sudden having the craziest answer ever in the world, and yet feeling this lightness that didn't look like anything else before. And this is what I remember exactly when I said, if I ever will become a certified facilitator of access consciousness, I'm doing it because I want to become a certified facilitator of Talk to the Entities, which I became. But then, please, and this is the last thing that I'm going to add before we go. We've all been in contact with entities one way or the other. We have all had our experiences, whether we want to look at them or not. It's not a tool that makes you aware. It's your willingness and your curiosity that allows awareness to pour into your life, and then the tools make your life easier. And as Kalpana said it, the moment when you no longer doubt yourself, whatever other people around you are saying doesn't have a value or a weight to it. Your truth is always going to make you lighter. And your truth is not the truth of anybody else's. Are you willing to allow yourself to be aware of what your truth is when it comes to entities? That's it. Thank you so much for having shared these moments with me and with my guests. And hopefully one day I will read your stories with the entities. Make them expansive, make them yours, and never doubt. Kisses and hugs. And how does it get any better than that? Thank you. Here is another round of cheers for the stories of the unseen and for the Big Moose Publishing and for the design of Sandra Schoonmaker, which is absolutely priceless. Thank you so much. And how does it get any better than that? Go forth and play with the entities. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Congratulations again. Bye.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Congrats, bravo, felicitări.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you, mulțumesc.
Thank you, Selena.